Say what I think, regardless of the consequences. This was clearly a fixed game. Everyone saw it. If FIFA want Argentina to win, then why do you make us come play? I'm gonna say what I think, regardless of the consequences. This was clearly a fixed game. Everyone saw it. If FIFA want Argentina to win, then why do you make us come play?
With just 11 minutes remaining in Atlanta, it looked like Lionel Messi's World Cup journey was finished. Not slipping away. Finished. Argentina, the defending world champions, were trailing Egypt 2-0, a nation that had never won a World Cup knockout match before. Messi had already missed a penalty. He'd been knocked off the ball, dispossessed, and sent shots flying over the crossbar. For the first time in a long time, he looked every bit of his 39 years. The greatest player the game has ever seen seemed destined to leave a World Cup field for the final time in defeat. One day after Cristiano Ronaldo's own tournament had ended the same way. The parallel was almost too perfect. Then, over the next 13 minutes, everything changed. Argentina scored 3 unanswered goals, recovering from a 2-goal deficit later than any team ever had in World Cup history. Messi broke down in tears. Egypt's players dropped to the turf in disbelief. Their head coach accused FIFA of protecting Messi, made an anti-racism gesture toward him after the final whistle, and one member of Egypt's staff had to be restrained by security after charging toward the Argentine captain. He was shown a red card and escorted away. There was a goal ruled out, a penalty save, a heated confrontation, and one of the most unforgettable comebacks football has ever witnessed. So let's break down what really happened, because this felt like far more than a football match. It felt like a war. To understand the chaos, you first have to understand where Egypt came from. Football means everything there, but before this tournament, they'd played 7 World Cup matches across 3 appearances and never won one. Head coach Hossam Hassan had said before the tournament that Egypt needed to show a better version of themselves. They did exactly that, beating New Zealand for the country's first ever World Cup win, then eliminating Australia on penalties to set up a round of 16 clash with the reigning champions. Egypt had nothing to lose, and they played like it, fearless, aggressive, unfazed by the number 10 shirt across from them. Just 15 minutes in, Egypt struck first. A corner from Marwan Attia found Yasser Ibrahim, whose thunderous header flew past Emiliano Martinez. Argentina hadn't gone into halftime behind in a World Cup match since Germany's 4-0 demolition of them in 2010. Now they looked completely unsure of themselves. 6 minutes later came the moment that should have changed everything. Hesham Hassan brought down Nicolas Tagliafico in the box, and the referee pointed to the spot. Messi. A penalty. The chance to pull Argentina level. Instead, his effort lacked conviction, and goalkeeper Mostafa Choubert guessed right, diving to his left to save it. Messi became the first player in World Cup history to miss 2 penalties in the same tournament, one record he never wanted attached to his name. Choubert wasn't finished. He denied Alexis Mac Allister from point-blank range, watched Messi's free kick crash off the post, then somehow kept out Julian Alvarez from close range. His father, Ahmed Choubir, was Egypt's goalkeeper at the 1990 World Cup, whose infamous time-wasting against Ireland helped inspire the back-pass rule. Decades later, his son was almost single-handedly keeping the world champions at bay. Argentina went into halftime trailing, shaken, with no clear answers. Not long after the restart, Egypt struck again. Hesham Hassan burst down the left before Mohamed Salah slipped a perfect through ball to Zizou, who calmly finished 2-0. But VAR rolled the replay back roughly 17 seconds of active play to a slight shirt pull from Marwan Attia on Lisandro Martinez. The goal was ruled out. Egypt's frustration made sense. FIFA's head of refereeing, Pierluigi Collina, had told officials before the tournament to let the game flow and avoid stopping play for minor challenges. Fouls per match had dropped to around 22.6, down from 25 in 2022. Yet here, VAR rewound nearly half a minute to cancel a goal over a shirt tug and a clipped toe. Compare that to Alexander Pavlovic's high boot into the face of Ecuador's Pedro Vite, where VAR didn't intervene. The review was technically within the rules, but it came from a different interpretation of the standard than the rest of the tournament had followed, and in the end, it changed nothing. 8 minutes later, Hesham Hassan left Nahuel Molina behind and cut the ball back for Zizou again. This time it counted. 2-0, no review, no second chance. Atlanta Stadium fell silent. Egypt were 11 minutes from the greatest win in their history, a first-ever quarterfinal after nearly a century of waiting. And Messi was 11 minutes from an ending nobody wanted to see. Then, everything changed. Lionel Scaloni brought on Lautaro Martinez for Rodrigo de Paul, pushing Messi out to the right, away from the three defenders who'd been swarming him through the middle all night, and into space. In the 79th minute, he floated a perfect cross from that flank, and Christian Romero powered a header past Schobert. 2-1. Suddenly the match was alive. Messi produced one of his trademark weaving runs through a crowd of defenders, almost setting up Lautaro. Then, in the 83rd minute, a loose ball dropped to him just inside the box, and he struck a flawless first-time half volley. Schobert got both hands to it. Not enough. 2-2. It was Messi's 21st World Cup goal, extending his own tournament record, and his 8th of this tournament, one ahead of Mbappe and Haaland in the Golden Boot race. He also became the first player ever to score in 6 consecutive World Cup knockout matches. All in the same game, he'd become the first player to miss 2 penalties in a single World Cup, one of the worst records imaginable, and one of the greatest, inside the same 90 minutes. Argentina still weren't done. 2 minutes into stoppage time, Salah went down in Argentina's box, appealing for a foul on Julian Alvarez. The referee waved play on. No VAR review. Argentina broke instantly. Lautaro whipped in a cross, and Enzo Fernandez headed home the winner, 3-2. The cruelest detail, it was Salah who'd lost possession before that counterattack, the very move that ended Egypt's dream. Egypt were furious. Their coach insisted there'd been a shirt pull in the box. Some reports named Salah, others Hamdi Fathi, and claimed VAR never properly reviewed it. Because Salah went down in the box, VAR wasn't just checking for a foul, it was checking for enough contact to award a penalty, a much higher bar than a regular foul review. If officials judge the contact insufficient, play simply continues. Had the same challenge happened a yard outside the box, it likely gets checked as a free kick instead. Just 1 yard, the difference between Egypt getting one more chance and getting knocked out on the counter. 2 nearly identical incidents, 30 minutes apart, judged by completely different standards. When the whistle blew, things boiled over. Messi walked toward the Egyptian bench and exchanged words with Hussam Hassan. What was said remains unknown. Hassan responded by crossing his arms into an X, FIFA's official anti-racism gesture, directed at Messi, and was booked for it. Seconds later, a member of Egypt's coaching staff charged toward Messi before Argentina's players shielded their captain, and security stepped in. That staff member was sent off and escorted away. Neither FIFA nor the Egyptian Federation ever clarified what the gesture was about, and Hassan never explained it. Instead, in a fiery post-match interview, he said Egypt had suffered a serious injustice and suggested some wanted Messi to stay in the tournament. Zizou echoed that the injustice had been obvious from the start. FIFA declined to comment. But there's another side. Argentina's comeback wasn't handed to them. No conspiracy helped Romero rise for that header, or forced Enzo Fernandez to attack that stoppage-time cross with a nation watching. The disallowed goal was, by the letter of the law, a legitimate call for a foul in the attacking phase, inconsistent with how the tournament had otherwise been officiated, but not invented. And Messi's equalizer was pure quality. No referee created that moment. Even Roy Keane, rarely one for praise, called Argentina street fighters who simply refused to surrender. Scaloni was too emotional to finish his post-match interview, not the reaction of a team that got carried. Both things can be true. Argentina produced a remarkable comeback, and Egypt had real reason to feel let down by inconsistent officiating. Not a grand conspiracy, but VAR applying different standards to nearly identical incidents depending on which side of the box line they fell on. Egypt didn't lose because FIFA wanted Messi to stay. They lost because they couldn't protect a 2-goal lead for 11 minutes against the world champions. And they also lost after 2 moments where the rules seemed to bend against them. Both realities hurt. Beneath all the controversy, the real story was still Messi. 39 years old, missing a penalty in front of the world, outmuscled for over an hour, looking finished. And then, finding one more moment of greatness. After the whistle, Argentina's players lifted him into the air, and he couldn't hold back the tears. Just 24 hours earlier, Ronaldo had walked off the World Cup crying too. For him, it marked the end. For Messi, it kept the dream alive. Argentina head to the quarterfinals in Kansas City, still chasing something football hasn't seen since Brazil's back-to-back titles in 1958 and 1962. Egypt go home with arguably the greatest performance in their football history, one of the finest goalkeeping displays of the tournament, and the feeling that the game turned against them. Just 11 minutes. That's all that separated the biggest upset of this World Cup from the greatest comeback it has ever witnessed. So where does this match rank for you? The greatest World Cup comeback ever, or did Egypt have a genuine case to feel robbed? Let me know in the comments, and don't go anywhere. The quarterfinals are next.